Let me just adjust myself properly. What's up guys, welcome back to Kev's World. Today's gonna be a very chill episode where I share the top things that I miss about Melbourne. I can't believe I've actually left Melbourne 5 months ago after living there for 3 years. 3 years is actually more than 10% of my current life since I'm 24 right now. I'm getting old. The first thing that I really like or miss about Melbourne is the public transportation. They are really not kidding when they say Melbourne has one of the best public transportations in the world. You can get from point A to point B with public transport 90% of the time. You don't really need a car that much unless you live in the outskirts rural area, so that depends. You are able to get around pretty much without a car. You can save a lot of money, especially from owning a car and petrol and having to service your car. So I really miss that because the public transportation in Malaysia is not good. The LRT and MRT are developing, but you still can't get to the LRT. Whereas in Melbourne, they have trams in the suburbs to bring you to the train station, so at least you can get around pretty easily. I really miss the public transportation there. Second point I miss is the grocery shopping. Coles and Woolies are my favorite haunts when I was there. I would always stand in the aisles and look at all of the food, admiring all the choices because they have pretty good fresh foods there too. Pretty decent prices, or at least I think they're decent price compared to the cost of living. For example, a liter of milk is $1. A pack of pasta is 65 cents. That's really cheap for what you're earning there. You can survive pretty well if you budget your food planning since the food prices aren't that high and you still get a balanced diet. Third thing that I miss from Melbourne is the cool weather, but not the cold weather. So just a fine line here, the cool weather. By that I mean maybe the autumn season, not winter, definitely not winter. I really miss the nice breeze that comes around maybe in March when the leaves start to turn brown. Those temperatures are around 22 Celsius. That is so good to walk in and have a nice breeze. With the less humid air, you don't actually sweat that much and you can get around wearing your nice blazers, your nice jackets, bomber jackets, layering. You can dress up really nicely because the weather does not make you sweat so much. So I think hand in hand with the weather is you can wear nice layering of clothes. Especially if you want to look like those fashion models from Lookbook or Pinterest, you can achieve all those things because you are not suffocating from the weather. Fourth thing that I really admire also from Melbourne is the landscape around. I think people don't really give enough credit to the beach because they see it every day, but if you look at how clean it is and how blue the water is, people just don't appreciate it that much. When I came back to Malaysia, I saw just how dirty the water is and how much it smells. The sand is like covered with trash. And I just remembered, wow, St. Kilda and Brighton Beach, they're actually pretty good despite being totally packed with tourists. And you can lounge around there. It's nice and cool, maybe a bit too cold sometimes. Aside from the beach, if you actually travel out of Melbourne, the pastures and the hills, the valleys, the scenery of the so-called Outback, it's really charming to see the nice greenery that is untouched. You just smell the fresh air and you can just relax. It's almost like a postcard actually. Pretty nice to have when you're always working in the city. You can just drive out of town and just sit there for a while, or maybe even overnight or camp. You can even camp at the open area and just breathe in the fresh air. And that's also the main thing people visit Australia for, is the scenery. It's just so natural and untouched. Last but not least, my fifth point, this is something that most people kind of like know but at the same time don't really realize it. But Melbourne has a lot of good food. And the cuisine that I think strikes me the most popular there is Asian food. I cannot stress how much I love the Korean food in Melbourne because when I went in the shop, I realized that the staff and also the cooks there are actually from Korea. So it has a really authentic taste and the ingredients are, like I said, also fresh. Italian food is popular and also good too. I remember in Lygon Street, I used to have pastas outside of the restaurants. I don't know what you call them, the waiters or servers, they will kind of like usher you in or try to convince you to come in. That's really funny. Vietnamese is also popular there too. It's funny because Malaysia is actually nearer to Vietnam, but then we don't really have much Vietnamese food. I can't really name 10 Vietnamese restaurants in Malaysia, whereas when you stroll in Melbourne, you can find one in almost every suburb. It's really common. Honestly, if I were to go back to Melbourne, the thing that I would actually want to look forward to the most, the grocery shopping, the restaurants, and just breathing in the nature. These are the three things that I think most people who left Melbourne will kind of miss. I don't know, maybe I might go back to Melbourne anytime soon. Never know, right? I can't think that far. Meeting up friends who are there, it's kind of like a second home, but a distant home, Melbourne is. So yeah, that is all for my little chill table talk, which is not really a table since I'm on the bed. But yes, if you have any other questions for me, do leave them in comment below about Melbourne. And thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!